Does he even know where to go?
It's fine. You got the brief.
No, that's okay, that's good.
Lord.
Nice room. Let's go. Good. So you said you don't know. Good part. Yeah.
I'm making this scenario here.
Were you just talking about the dog that was in the back of a police car? Had too many unpaid parking tickets?
I don't get it.
Actually, there was an author I had to disconnect from her because she would explain it. If somebody said, I don't get the joke, she would explain it and she would just.
Oh, my God, I don't know. They weren't demeaning about it, they just laughed at me.
Well, every time you do laughing with it.
No, I'm just. Cause I went to the other building first, going.
Hey, I came here to sign checks and I tried to get into the annex. I thought you guys had already moved.
Where are they?
Yeah. But I found it.
Are we gonna talk about that thing?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, they use stuff today though.
I didn't.
Oh, yeah.
I was at a lunch thing today, so I didn't get a chance to read everything.
What I said this afternoon.
Yeah, can we touch base on that?
Sure.
So.
That's a decision making tool that happened. So what to do with that next bill? That's how I usually know.
Yeah.
EJ sent me all.
We know, why we have.
Sorry.
There might have been a, it's changed.
Oh,
Oh, so yeah, there was an edit to the minute.
Oh.
There was an edit, okay. Maybe I should have. We probably did. All right, you guys, everybody ready? All right, we're gonna call the meeting to order at 6:30. Let us say the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America,
and
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
we are only missing Folds. As far as I know, we didn't call her.
You just called me.
Oh, did he? He's probably wondering what building we're at. All right. And is there anybody signed up for public comment? No. And I don't think there's anybody online either.
I don't see anybody online either. It's
Yeah.
just that letter that's in the packet.
Yeah, everybody got a chance to read it. We can address it further down. All right. And then we have our consent agenda. Yes, ma'am.
When we approve the minutes, we are saying, yeah, I was there and this is what happened. Or I wasn't there, but I believe this is what happened. What are we approving about the financial statements? I'm sure he's done a good job following accounting standards and principles. But we don't have a good way of knowing what's gone into these financial reports. Is it the same thing as the? I'm wondering if it shouldn't be somewhere else other than the consent agenda. Because it is a different subject, we're doing something different. We don't have the same information to confirm. Just food for thought.
Okay, we can discuss it later, for sure.
For now, I will move to approve the consent agenda with a minor correction in the minutes for, January 20th, one more business stuff. As amended.
Okay, I have a motion from Councilor Lennox, second, and a second from Councilor. To approve the amended consent agenda, all those approved?
I,
I. Motion passes. All right, looks like we're going straight into the public hearing. All right, and just for everybody's reference, it's pages 85 to 236. And I get to read you a lovely little script. The city council will now conduct a public hearing to adopt an updated Parks and Recreation Master Plan as a supporting document to the Dayton Comprehensive Plan. These proposed changes are included in exhibits A and B of the staff report dated January 8th, 2026, which the city council reviewed part of tonight's agenda packet. For reference, the city case file number is LA 2026-01. And we'll now open the public hearing at 6:34. Okay, for approval criteria of the legislation, decision-making are found in section 7.3.112 of the Dayton Land Use and Development Code. These criteria are also cited in the staff report addressed to the city council. The hearing shall be conducted pursuant to the city council's adopted rules of procedure. The following procedure will be followed for those, for receiving presentations or oral testimony, but I don't think anybody signed up, correct? Okay. I think I can give it to Kurt now.
Very good. Thank you very much. Good evening, everybody. Everybody hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Very good. So we're here to take the last public step to adopt the updated Parks and Rec Master Plan. Work was performed by an outside consultant. Planning had very little direct involvement. But the document that was the product of their work is in Exhibit A of the staff report. I believe it is the identical document that was presented to you in previous, at least one previous joint work session. It is unchanged from by Planning Commission. So it should be substantially, if not exactly the same document as you've seen before. The only additional material in the staff report is Exhibit B. And that is a minor text amendment that adjusts some text in the comprehensive plan to make it consistent with the plan that we're adopting by reference. In that section 7.1, where it provides a little discussion of the parks facilities that were discussed, I believe 20 years ago. And replaces that with current language that simply describes the current document that we're adopting by reference. So it would be incorporated into the comprehensive plan as a supporting document. And not included and not embedded in the text of the comprehensive plan like the previous language was. And that is concludes my brief staff report. As usual, the last page of the staff report contains some recommended language for motions, and the recommended motion is option 1 to adopt the plan as proposed in the staff report. And with that, I'll conclude.
All right. Well, I don't think we have anybody online still for the public hearing.
We do not.
Okay. Well, I guess since we don't have anybody here for public hearing, we will go ahead and close the public hearing at 6:38. All right. And we're done with that. Thank you, Kurt. Yeah, but that was it.
The first reading.
Page 237. For the first reading of ordinance 669, amending the city of Dayton comprehensive plan adopting the 2025.
Madam Mayor.
Yes,
You do have to.
And I just
make-
made a point of,
And then you do the first reading of the ordinance.
okay, somebody motion to adopt the acceptance of the comprehensive plan, is that what we're doing? Okay, so we have to accept the comprehensive plan. Yes, please.
I move that we adopt the staff report and approve LA 206-21.
Okay, I have a motion from Councilor Peterson, the second, from Councilor Hobart. All those in favor? Aye. Okay. Motion passes. Okay, now we can go to the first reading. Yes, please.
Ordinance 669, an ordinance amending the city of Dayton comprehensive plan adopting the 2025 Parks and Recreation Master Plan. I move to approve the first reading of ordinance 669 by title only. One second.
Okay, motion from Councilor Dunbar, second from Councilor Mackin, all those. Aye. All right. We'll go on to page 241 for planning commission applications review. Did you have anything you wanted to add, Jen?
No,
with the- okay. All right,
I need to ask a favor.
yes, please.
I have trouble reading the application. Can't tell where the question stops and the answer
Oh,
begins.
there's a formatting.
Yes, could we ask for a little bit of formatting change on the application, please?
Perhaps. Did you want to briefly look at one real quick on paper?
Well, I read this one. Oh, I
Okay,
saw it. It was okay.
The format is, it comes from the website, we can't really do much about it.
Okay.
Mhm.
well. I'll entertain a motion.
This is for the appointment.
Okay.
Michael's not in precedent, so.
He is not present.
Can we discuss? Absolutely.
Executive session. Was there something that you?
Well, when the application asks you for your point of view, I think you should.
Yeah.
And you just blatantly 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, so no, I'm not gonna tell you your opinion, like, well. You've been asked in several ways.
And it's- Well, you guys certainly do not, and if you're not comfortable with this person, then we do not have to appoint. It's a team, not a me thing.
May I, Councilman?
Yes.
So, one thing that I really appreciated this is the past history, past member and chair of the Anthony City Planning Commission. Past service on the city budget committee. I think I would challenge a little bit I did not see that my vision, assuming that I have one, has anything to do with serving on the planning commission. Land use code is one thing, but planning commission and a lot of what we do is interpretation of that code, right? So your vision does matter because how you interpret code will have an effect, as a committee. So I think I would challenge that a little bit, and I'm a big advocate of if you want something, you need to show up for it. And I really do appreciate, this past experience. I'd like to be able to ask him a couple questions. Especially because, over half of it's the C above. There's some really good past work here, and I don't wanna downplay that, but I'd like the opportunity to meet someone before we appoint them to a committee. So I don't know if it's possible to say, hey, can you come
Do
to the
you
work
want to
session?
pause it and have him come?
I wouldn't mind that, and I usually, just a quick second. I don't know, I would like to see him and to just meet him and then, kind of go from there. I'm not personally comfortable with appointing somebody that I haven't had a chance to to something that's important, because it's really important.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I would like to see him in person, because he said he had experience with our budget committee. And I am not,
You're trying to go, what was this?
I am going with Mike, so it would be nice to talk to him.
Yeah, there's also, I mean, I don't grade people on attitude. But there's almost an obstructive element to this application, and it's kind of like, if you take me or leave me, and I'm not gonna give you any information on what I'm doing, I'm gonna sort of approach you guys in an aggressive fashion, and I think truly we need to see, maybe this isn't the real Michael, and I'd like to know that, because if this is the real Michael, I don't want to go forward with this applicant, to be honest with you. Yeah.
That's fair to say.
Well, I know, I will say this in the past, when I first applied for planning commission many eons ago. I came so people could ask me questions. When I got appointed to council the first time, I came. First time anytime, I just felt like it was kind of important to be there.
Yeah, I almost feel like it should be a requirement.
Yeah,
Yeah. And the planning commission is gonna be particularly important to our city for in future, hopefully.
well,
So this isn't somebody you just wanna take a quick peek at and say, okay, well, this is good enough for us. I mean, I really wanna see what the deal is. Because this person can be instrumental in the growth of Dayton over the next 2 years.
Also,
Yes.
so is the consensus then to have him come back during the work session and we do it then? Would we do that then?
I mean, yeah, I'd like to see whenever we.
Here's what I would recommend, Madam Mayor, is the council could table this application. I could communicate to him that the council would like an opportunity to meet with him in person. If he shows up, then you can call this back up for action. If he doesn't, then it just goes away.
Perfect.
That sounds great.
Love it.
Madam Mayor,
Yes,
may I move to table this until he comes to talk to me?
okay. I have a motion from Councilor Mackin and a second from. Thank you. Wilkins. I remember. I was gonna call you Councilor Colton, I go, that's not his name, no. Wilkins, so all those in favor?
I still got the meeting at the old, in the city hall.
It's okay, we all done it.
Like,
Yes.
what would the process for updating the questions as well? Because I'd be curious, because there's, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 questions. I'd be curious on expanding upon this a little bit, and one of the questions be, would you be willing to show up to introduce yourself to council? And so there's an acknowledgement on that form of, yes, I will.
And once they sign it, no,
Yeah, so I wonder if that has to be yes, or if that's more of a you thing. But I would be interested to see if we could expand this a little bit.
We will likely need a work session this month.
Cool.
I think that would be an excellent opportunity for us to revisit this.
So
wait, thanks.
love it. Thank you. Appreciate that.
All right, wonderful. We'll move on to action item 3. This is approval of resolution 2025/26-18. I tried to read too fast, sorry. Resolution in support of a wetlands technical assistance award for 25-27 to the city of Dayton to amend the city's comprehensive plan with a current local wetlands inventory. That was a long.
I did a lot of work.
All right, and that begins on page 245. Did anybody have any? I have a question. So we do this inventory for these wetlands, and then what does that do for us?
Somebody who wants to build will have certainty over wetlands exist. We currently don't have that.
Good, this sounds bad to me, but forgive me, business people, but if it's a wetland, do we really want people building on a wetland?
No, we
In
don't.
all honesty,
I don't think they're even allowed.
No, they are.
well, but
They're, if you do trade-offs and buy land.
and I don't like the way they do that either, because what they trade off, they give you crap. And that's not the word I was gonna use for the trade-off, but anyways. So none of the wetlands will be built on, it'll just be part of our airport.
Unless, the state agencies approve, as Councilor Peterson just mentioned, what it's called,
Yeah.
an offset to a different.
For us,
May I chime in?
Yes, please.
So once you have the result of the wetlands inventory, there's a policy decision that you have to make regarding how you want those lands treated. So you can decide whether or not you want to preserve them entirely, if you want to incorporate them as parkland. And you make a policy decision on what level of local protection you want to give them. And then there's other more specific DSL requirements regarding cut and fill that apply to actual construction that may or may not take place in those areas. The complicated thing for developers is even though it takes place at the construction phase, they need to be aware of those constraints very early in the process. So the wetlands inventory, first of all, it informs them of that. And then they will have to comply with your policy mandate as part of the land use phase before they actually go to construction. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's very
So
helpful.
there's a different set of policy decisions that need to take place at those two phases in development. The first and most important, I think, objective of this wetlands inventory is to identify the places that we know do not have wetlands, because that's what's really kind of causing people anxiety right now. Because they would much rather see a map and know that we've investigated and we can confirm that there's no inventoried wetlands. So that gives them some level of security to proceed, especially with the annexation step that we're talking about, because we're really talking about primarily lands that are not within the city limits yet. And because statewide goals for natural resource preservation deserve different levels of attention for annexation, that has been another area of uncertainty that applicants have had to face. I hope that
Yeah, it
gets
does.
to
Do
the
you know what
question.
method they use to determine the wetlands? I mean, I know there's probably a lot more that goes into it, but maybe a basic.
So they'll look at existing maps, existing information. There's a methodology spelled out in the Oregon administrative rules for the level of investigation that needs to be done. And that'll give them a clue at the areas that need more specific investigation. And then they will do some outreach to the property owners where they suspect the wetlands exist and get their permission to go and confirm those areas. Whether they're and then they will describe the the biological natural functions and characteristics of those areas, depending on, the applicable criteria. And they either will be added to the inventory or not added to the inventory based on what they find.
So do we have anything in our planning that addresses wetlands? I don't seem to.
We do
recall.
It actually says in the comprehensive plan that we do not. And that it's needed. When the comprehensive plan was adopted, it was not a requirement. It was not a required element of the comprehensive plan at that time. And then later, additional policy was passed to fill out the goal 5 requirements. And then the administrative rules were adopted that actually require a local wetlands inventory now. And there are some that are of the opinion that that should have been included in the UGB swap. And others are confused about exactly when that requirement should have applied. And so these sort of these points were brought up when we were doing the housing policy outreach a couple of years ago. And that was one of the recommendations for next steps to implement the recommendations of that effort.
All right, thank you, Kurt, that helps tremendously. Okay, any other?
Need a motion?
Yes, please.
I move to approve resolution 2025/26-18, a resolution in support of a wetlands technical assistant award for 2025 and 2027 to the city of Dayton to amend the city's comprehensive plan with the current local wetlands inventory.
I have a motion for Councilor Hildebrand and a second from Councilor Typro. All those in favor?
Right.
Motion passes. All right, page 251, approval of resolution 2526 Public Works Design Standards, update number 17. Did anybody have any comments or questions?
Madam Mayor, I move to approve resolution 2025/26-19, a resolution adopting Public Works Design Standards, update number 17.
I second.
I have a motion from Councilor Typro and a second from Councilor Wilkins. All those in favor? Motion passes. All right, page 257. This is to authorize staff to publish and file and set a schedule for proposed text amendment to DMD 7.2.201.02. I think I added too much in there, but sorry, to change the time frame for completion of construction. Yes.
This, can anyone tell me where this is coming from? Because I think it's a bad idea. I don't think we should amend it. I don't think we should give people more time. There is already in our current verbiage there, you can get a variance. But, through a discretionary process, you already have the right to get some kind of extension or some extenuating circumstances have happened. But if anyone wants to speak to where this is coming from and why.
May I make a comment? Madam, I had a long discussion with Jeremy asking the exact same questions that are probably in everybody's mind this morning. And if you could succinctly just share with me what we talked about, or share with the council what you and I talked about, I think that we'd all be able to be assured. My response was exactly, well, we don't want to do this. If you don't mind doing that.
Absolutely, and so To your question, where is this coming from? We had a land use application, worked through the process in December for the Dayton Hotel. One of the issues that the applicant raised had to do with the time frame that our development code imposes. And there were concerns about the ability to meet that time frame. As you're aware, they submitted an appeal.
May I interrupt a moment? What was that time frame?
It's what's redlined in your packet. So what's struck out in the packet is what's currently in the books.
Yeah, all right.
So about 2 weeks ago, members of the city team met with the applicant about their appeal, included our legal counsel, talked about several issues related to their appeal. One issue that we talked about was this specific concern of theirs and how it might be addressed. The city attorney brought to my attention separately that something she has seen in other jurisdictions is like the language that's in the draft here that specifically ties approval to the building permit. So there are trade-offs here. The possible language here gives more flexibility. The current language gives more structure and more certainty. And I lay out those pros and cons in my staff report, and I'm looking for direction from the council on if you believe it's to the city's advantage to have a more flexible approach or a more structured and definite approach. As Councilor Peterson mentioned, the current avenue that we have with the current language would likely involve separate variance and major variance, which would go through the planning commission. So there is an avenue to do that, but that's an extra hearing and there's no certainty to it. So this is on your agenda as a balancing act based on language that our city attorney put together.
I guess requiring that work commences in 6 months, it's like, seriously? Maybe you need more perspective of my personal situation. Staring out my back window at Lowe's Wrap that has been there for 2 years, and a project that's been going for forever is driving me crazy, and that is under our current. So it's not okay. It's not okay that the elements that
You may not be aware of that place, because you described for him what it's out of it.
mine.
No, yeah, you're,
Yeah, I mean, I can, tell the inspector or just, and I'm not in the loop. I don't know, maybe they're getting variance after variance, but I question whether you get a permit and then you have 6 months to get started, like what?
Is that residential?
Yeah, it's residential. I don't know, I just think that's too much time. Especially when you can go through the steps to get a variance. Anyway, so it's kind of personal.
and just because you started looking now, finish the stuff.
I'm the bottom line, so I can literally close off my house to the.
Yeah, either go or.
Just a brief comment. So I understand your concerns. I really highly question whether this project is gonna get started and left in post wrap for years. I mean, they're motivated to get going, and once they get a project going, they're not gonna stop. And I'm not trying to sell it as such. But we run the risk of walking developer, and I believe that this hotel is really, really important to the city. Especially with our,
Oh, I concur.
yeah, especially with the urban renewal plan we have and where it falls in that and where those revenues are gonna go and how that's gonna build us.
Can't we give them a variance, right? I'd be willing to give for a big project. I mean, what I'm seeing, and maybe I'm just reading them. I'm seeing that, yeah, any old Joe that wants to build a house Obviously doesn't have to do it in a timely manner.
I have an idea. Okay. What if we do a combination of both? And I don't know if this is possible from a legal standpoint, I don't know. You, Jeremy, you know me better than me, but could you keep the current policy for residential builds and then go with this new model for business and commercial builds? So, because I think that would do one of two things. I think, A, we need to break down the barrier for businesses in our community.
Mhm.
But we do need to, I think, remain strict on residential builds. I think that's appropriate. And I'm wondering if this two-pronged policy could work. That would increase the planning meetings by a little bit for the business side of things, but not drag them into every, potential residential, build for various construction.
How
So
does that work then if it's a commercial residential area?
Like,
Does it just determine whatever the property that's being built then?
like a mixed use?
I don't think we're saying that necessarily. I'm just saying to make, if it's a commercial endeavor, somebody's building 100-unit hotel, that's clearly commercial.
yeah,
There's a set of commercial policies that apply or commercial permits that apply to that process. Somebody says, I want to build a single family home dwelling on a 800,000 or 8,000 square foot lot, that applies at a different set of building permits.
Yeah.
Not so much, we're not talking about a land use thing as far as I can tell. We're talking about what kind of structure is being built within the land use that's already designated for that area. So our land use designates that we can't have that hotel there. If if we wanted to build it at some farmer's field, then we would have to change that designation. Am I wrong in my?
No, I just mean if the area is designated commercial residential
Yeah.
and it is a mixed use property, then which policy do we use?
like if you have a daycare on the bottom floor and residence on the top floor. It's kind of.
Right, I mean, and then what are we required then? They got the business part done, but meanwhile upstairs is still under construction with all the daycare kids running around. I'm just saying, I mean, those, how then does it affect that? Or does it?
I'll have to look into that.
Okay,
Get back to you. There's no rush on this.
Yeah.
And if,
good, let's table it.
I
think it
I do wanna
Yeah.
put on the record that I'm totally in support of a business to build a hotel. I
Me
can't
too.
imagine
Me too.
doing that in a year. So I mean, so the code is not, it's poorly written. If it means building a house, a single family dwelling and a hotel, I just feel like that's apples and oranges and should not be under the state.
Yeah, that does make sense to me too, and I don't know how we address that.
by tabling it and letting legal take a look at it. I will.
Okay, we table it.
Quick question.
Yes, sir.
Is the appeal situation, is there like a timeline on that or an expectation? To have something like this approved or declined?
no, the appeal has been withdrawn.
Okay. Okay,
They're gonna send it amended,
okay.
So this has no time requirement really.
Correct.
yeah, so, yeah, we'll need a motion to table.
I would like the forward motion to table this until further review and we can clarify some legal documentation on this too.
I'd second that.
Okay, I have a motion from Counselor Over to table this, and a second from Counselor Wilkins. All those in favor? Aye. Excellent. All right, we're going to move on now to page 261, and it looks like we have a schedule for our local tax action levy. Miss Pat.
So I've included the schedule. We have our town hall meeting next week, Wednesday, February 11th at 6:30 at the high school common. I also attached this partial sign of what is going to be outside of City Hall that has what Councilor Hildebrand suggested, like, where you can get information, how you can give us feedback, and to have, what's it called, paper surveys as well in City Hall so that people can go in there, and also has a QR code where you can go to the web page and do the survey online if that's what you prefer. And I also created a sign for the town hall with an arrow directing traffic towards the location.
I love that, yeah, I do too.
I also
I love
created a map, because then I realized, not everybody knows where it's going to be, so, this is the map that is going to go on.
Good job,
For directing people to the location.
excellent.
Thanks, Roxanna.
You're
I know I'm the one that started that whole map and it's like, oh, what is it?
Well, then there was more questions, and I was like, okay, if
Yeah.
that's not.
It's like, I'm stopping this now.
Let's keep it simple, stupid. Go on, let's go.
Excellent.
So, yeah,
Anybody have questions?
Great.
Yes,
suggestions.
So this is a wonderful thing, really appreciate that. There has been a lot of chatter, especially in the Wikipedia pages about utilities. There is, I think, a misunderstanding currently that this town hall is the future town hall that we discussed. So I think that you might field questions, and we might field questions at the town hall that are unrelated to the topic at hand. We just need to be prepared for that. So we can,
can we blast it on social media? This is not a lot.
Yeah, that wouldn't be a bad idea, is to, put something out on social, is okay, we're looking forward to this town hall. As a reminder, there is a town hall scheduled for this, but the date's TBD, and just as a reminder, we posted it Facebook.
Do we have something on Facebook, I mean, on our website that is talking about?
About this, yes, we do, and we also have an event on Facebook. The high school also shared our flyer and event.
People just don't, that's the problem.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, they don't. People-
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not sure. My mouth was gonna go nuts.
And that's what I have, as an update.
Excellent. I'm excited. Very excited. Yeah, thank you, Rosie. Okay, and that one's gonna go up with me. Okay. Page 267, this is the March goal planning discussion.
Maxie,
Yes, thank you.
I've got vacation the first 2 weeks of March. So if I'm gonna be present, it'll have to be after the second week of March. I'm coming back and doing the SIP and then after the SIP.
Okay.
So let's talk specific dates, right?
Sorry, question on this.
Okay, questions?
So does it make sense for us to do this before budgeting? Because I think, personal opinion, goals, vision, like those are all well and good, but funding is gonna determine so much of what we can do. And I think coming out of this last fiscal year where, I think we need to go through one more budget cycle to see maybe where our funding lies on some of these things that could affect the realistic doability of some of these goals. Is that a crazy idea? I wonder if maybe we should just push back a couple months.
I don't honestly think we're gonna be like planning major big new goals,
Yeah.
because we're still finishing up a whole lot of other stuff, because the budget's been so tight.
Yeah.
So I think we're probably just gonna refresh what's been there.
Does the budget though impact, well, even our established goals? I mean, if there's, whether it's established or new or what have you, our ability to functionally do some of those things based on the budget would come into play.
It
right?
might come into play, but then we can change, instead of coming up with whole new ideas or not having them at all, we can
Yeah.
just change the timing on it.
Yeah,
From a 1 to a 3, or,
for sure.
I mean, it's kind of like a wish list
Yeah.
in lots of ways. I think we should have a wish list. And whether or not we can achieve all
yeah,
that,
because,
and then we'll see, we can also.
so we
help
don't
Jerry.
forget about.
Yeah.
It might give our city manager some direction in terms of what to pursue in grants, things like that as well. which I think would be helpful for all of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think you're saying wrong. There might be treats too.
Hey, maybe they'll get us pizza.
Is it worthwhile for there to be a review of it prior, Jeremy, where you're like, hey, you know, what is within our wish list that we said last year, and then kind of see applicable funding or not funding sources to that wish list that could then come to that meeting and say, hey, I don't know, I wonder if I feel like we need a realistic, the wish list is great, but it's also like, I want $20 million for this project, that's never gonna happen, right? So, you know, I wonder if there's anything on that list that is like more realistic versus less realistic based off of our funding that was decided that could be part of that discussion. If I'm like way off base.
I don't think there's anything changed.
Cool, that's okay.
That's the wish for anything to be world peace. But now forget about
Yeah.
2085. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
Mayor, if I may, here's how I envision this process. So right now, the council has a high level set of goals, and there are strategies associated with those goals. We're going to flesh those out in a little bit more detail on how we're going to meet those strategies over the next 1 to 3 years. And you're right, budget does come into play. But what this will do is it will help me direct my efforts as I'm preparing the budget so that I can take your highest priorities and develop a plan through the budget process on how we're going to get it done for the upcoming fiscal year. So I believe that starting this process before budget is the ideal way to do this. Now, we're going to prioritize. You're going to have more needs and more wishes than what we can afford. To be sure, but we need to get everything on the table and figure out over, like I said, year 1, year 2, year 3, what do we want to work on, so that we're all moving in the same direction. And I have direction as I'm working through the budget.
I wholeheartedly agree with you, and I think, well, setting goals and allowing ourselves even to dream a little, you know, can set a hopeful,
it makes us excited.
can set some hope and some dreams in place. And then also, I think when we do get down to it, setting benchmarks, specific benchmarks, so that so yes, we're gonna go for this goal, and here are the benchmarks we're gonna reach at such and so a time, so that we have some ladder runs.
Jeremy's
To
the
achieve
benchmark that,
So,
remember?
so I think it's a really, I think it's a really useful thing to do ahead of time.
And I would add those milestones you're talking about, Councilor Peterson, those work really well with big strategic goals. But out of this process, I also hope we can come up with some quick wins, something that'll have a big impact, but isn't going to take 2 years and $1 million to get done.
And I think that's really good, and I really appreciate all of this too, this is all very, very good, discussion. I think the thing that kind of made me think about this was like, I think some of our other big documentation, it's dreams and wish lists are master plans, right? So I think about the transportation master plan, for example, and like when we had that last presentation, we were going through everything and it was great, and then at the end, I forget his name, but he was like, yeah, you're probably gonna be able to afford 15%.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like, cool, that kind of took me down a little bit, but I think that's also very valuable, because I think, you know, we go through these, whether it's the transportation master plan, the parks master plan, and it's like, wow, we're gonna have all of these things in 20 years, it's like, well, you're actually gonna have. So, you know, that's why I just wanted to kind of have that ping-pong aspect of it, of yes, let's make these dreams, but let's also ground them a little bit. So that's kind of what drove it, just for me.
Death by 1,000 sections, is that what they said?
It's easy in a small town.
All right, well, great. Anything else?
Do we wanna do this on a Monday? Or do we wanna put a calendar together now? or
I think we
all-
should choose a date, this next one. Friday, how about Friday the 20th, since you're out of town, stay on Thursday?
We have to do it on a Friday, because Fridays are like a long day.
Can we do it anytime
Saturday.
Well, that's even worse.
after the 25th, anytime before the 25th?
I'd like to do it the 16th, which is on Monday.
Because I get scheduled for surgery at the end of March or
Yeah,
something
good.
early, and I won't be able to participate, and I must participate. You guys know I got a bit off.
This is a full day.
I could do Friday, if we have to do Friday, that's fine. I mean. I'm not thrilled about the idea, but I'll do it.
I think my only problem is I'm in the middle of club run and it's gonna be tricky to find days off
In March,
in March. And my weekend's Friday, Saturday. But might be able to swing a half day on a Monday. I just need time. To be able to.
Oh, that's right, you got work evenings anyway. So maybe we should do. Yeah, I'm not worried.
Yeah, you're retired. You don't
like you do.
But in the middle of the week, getting some night.
All of my sympathy went away. Everybody else has a job.
I forget about that. My apologies, Dave.
when you're retired people, I know. Since it's second.
I defer to the rest of the working class and the council.
Friday would be great if that's not.
Friday the 20th is what we're looking at, because that's before your surgery, Madam Mayor.
Yeah,
I can do that.
So what time? Morning, so refreshing.
morning.
Yeah.
I'll have to put in a note right away.
30, 9?
9 o'clock. I'm okay with 9, whatever you guys. decide.
9 to the noon. Need more than 3 hours, Jimmy?
We'll say 1 o'clock.
So 3:20 from 9 to 1.
Here,
Yeah,
the fact that we don't have the window, you think 4 hours in the window is structured.
We did it before, remember when we did it,
We can break into small groups as well.
then too or something. Yeah, with Jensen Strategies here. We did it together, let me hear.
We did 9 to 1.
We can do it downstairs, actually. Maybe a more local meeting.
No,
I like the communities. Right.
and it echoed.
You do not.
Right, March 25th.
All right, yeah, there we go.
Okay, we're ready for motion. Madam Mayor, I move to hold an annual planning retreat on March 20th, 2026, from 9 AM to 1 PM.
One second. I have a motion from Councilor Gilbert and a second from Councilor Wilkins. All those in favor?
All right.
All righty, it is set in stone. Yes, and now on to the Watertown Hall discussion, page 269.
And that is hopefully a date and date. Yep.
Y'all may be doing that one by yourselves then.
I think it's important.
People are ready to,
Yeah, it's very important.
shield the.
Who do you think
Depending
should
on-
be the main players in that one? Who's gonna give the presentation? Yeah.
Probably, I don't know. We'll have to figure that out.
Yeah, if you're out, I'll be, right?
Well, depending on when they actually schedule me, at some point I'll be able to get up on one of those little neat things, but. For the first week or two, I understand you're not supposed to stand on it at all.
You're doing most wheelchairs.
And I'll get one of those knee screws. I do not want to do crutches or anything like that.
Yeah, I would advocate that we definitely do this. I think it's really important for the community vocalizing its support. In ways that it's rare.
And what time in April, do we want to do it towards the end of April? Because April showers bring May flowers.
Y'all it'd be helpful too if you gave me some options so I can
Yeah,
coordinate with our city engineers
Hmm.
schedule.
Don't really have any programs in April.
You know, either.
Tuesday nights or Thursday nights starting after.
LOC conference, the 20th, 22nd, somewhere in there. Registration opens, so I'll need to talk about that.
Maybe Thursday the 16th.
Yeah.
Right after Christmas.
Maybe not, right?
We've got a council meeting on the 20th too.
Well, yeah, then that's a work session that night.
Maybe we could have the town hall before the work session.
Mhm.
Or we can talk about it right after.
We can do it on the 9th. 9th or 16th, I guess.
In the
We
evening.
want to keep our sleep, yes.
I'd say 16th is good.
So 9th, 16th, and what, the 23rd, like those three, and
What
you
if
guys
we-
want them on Thursdays or Fridays?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would make more sense to do it on a Friday because it's a weekend, the start of the weekend, more people to attend. No? Yeah.
The district is closed on the 10th, so their people are gonna be out of town. Not closed, but students are off.
Okay, so, okay,
Um,
yeah, that makes sense.
So I think my experience is that people don't want to give up their weekends, they would rather
Yeah.
come out.
Agreed.
So the 9th
Hop and something else.
at 6 or 6:30.
Maybe 9th, 14th or 16th if we're looking.
Yeah, let's give him some options.
So 9th, 14th, or 16th.
So we don't have to have, we'll just figure it out later.
You need to check with engineers.
Yeah. It's okay.
I will confirm the best date with each of you.
All right, great.
Right.
May I?
Yes, ma'am.
Question, I did not get my water bill yet for this month. Were they late being mailed out? Is this?
They were late being mailed out, but only by a couple days.
Yeah. Okay. Were you able to get billing,
Yeah, we'll put it for you, yes.
yes, oh, cool. Now we can start talking about what the actual sewer rate is. That should help a little bit. Oh, and I had an idea. We borrow lots of stuff from other cities. Well, what we have never looked into is how do other cities charge their sewer rates? Do they base it on water usage? And I have a feeling the answer might be no.
They do. I did a study on that before we talked about this and I objected to the way we were gonna schedule our water. The cities all around us and in some down in Southern Oregon, some in California. And
Well,
almost all of them charged by the amount of water they use.
maybe we can take some notes on them, because what they came up with for us was so complicated. I don't know how we'd ever bill it or explain it. I think we could simplify it a whole bunch. But, you know, I hope Mr. Hessling will take some comfort. We have been talking about this, and trying to work on it. Okay,
I want to be clear on the answer to your question. We did not put any wording on the sewer section.
well, okay, we have been billing two line items.
Yes,
Water and sewer.
water and sewer, and we added a line for the safety fee.
Okay,
And I thought what you were asking was, did we put wording on what was coming up? Like
oh, no,
meetings and
no,
stuff,
no.
we did that,
Uh,
we did not do anything with the sewer. It
Yeah.
still is the same.
Oh, well, okay, I thought we were putting through a sewer rate increase. So that line. item-
No, we did
That
put
line
an
item-
increase, yeah, we did put an increase on it, yeah.
Oh, okay, okay. Has the $26 for the bridge been separated from the?
No,
sewer?
No,
That's
that
still
was what
part-
I was clarifying, yeah.
That's still part of the sewer charge.
Yes.
Okay. we should probably, when people talk about how much they're paying for sewer, we should probably let them know that it's $26 for the bridge debt payment, because it's not. It isn't a sewer cost as like a direct cost, variable cost, direct cost. Some people think that that $26 is part of what it costs to provide sewer service, and it really isn't.
Why do you say it isn't? We gotta get that.
Our
Stuff.
treatment centers are across the river even.
Yeah.
Well, we have water and sewer coming across,
Yes,
so, you know.
It
we're
does
putting
pay
this
for it.
Sewer, but what we are, this is a debt payment for the footbridge, the steel span of the footbridge.
That holds water and sewer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but now, this is so bizarre, but Rochelle Road and West Cove don't really need the bridge. You could put the pipes over there, you don't absolutely have to have the bridge to go along with. That's why we didn't get infrastructure grant for the bridge. So in that way, it isn't directly related.
May I,
Um,
may I offer just something?
yeah,
I think the debt repayment is part of the service itself. And so if we have to upgrade the system in order to provide the service, the debt repayment is buried within that process. And I think that's where maybe
yeah,
there's some, maybe a lot of people wonder, heck, what is that $26? But we had to put a new sewer system in, the pumps were coming out Wallace Road and all the rest of that had to be updated. And that had to be incorporated in our monthly bill, so that's that piece, part of that.
okay,
And
Chair,
thanks for
you
bringing that
have
up,
anything
because
to
it's something that people think about, it's a way of thinking.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
all right, well, we're gonna move on to council comments and concerns, and since we're already down there at your end, Kitty, I'm gonna have you start.
Oh, the League of Oregon City Spring Conference is coming up, and Robin, I know you talked about wanting to go. I think it's like the 20th to 22nd of April. We need to make arrangements so that we can, you know, whoever's gonna go from the city, we need to make arrangements now. Or as soon as possible, anyway. So, we still have budget to send somebody. Mr. Ron? We do still have money in the budget for that, right?
That I would have to look at. I don't know.
Okay, so Robin, you were the one, I haven't gone to conferences because nobody else was available and nobody else showed any interest. But I shouldn't hog the whole thing. I'm happy to go, and you know, I am doing good things, I'm spreading the word about Dayton. But Robin, if you wanna go, let us know.
Are those the dates? Yeah, I don't know, it was both, I'm still looking.
Where is this again?
It's usually in bed.
It's gonna be in Pendleton Convention Center, April 23rd through the 24th.
Oh,
It'll be cold too.
Yeah.
All right. Did you have anything else for council comments?
oh, the News Register had a super duper article in it. Newburgh's mayor put himself into a wheelchair and took a trip with one of the wheelchair residents. And if you haven't read it, you're gonna get a pretty good idea of what I face out there in these places. I highly recommend. Would you be able to email this article? It was, I mean, it was in the News Register, as of today and like yesterday. Newburgh mayor took a 3-hour trip with a wheelchair person. Quite an eye opener. And I don't have it nearly as bad around here, so I will say that much, especially with the new sidewalk. But, I think I'll leave that.
That's it.
That's it.
Council Tyco?
Just a quick update on DCBA activities. Last week, we completed our volunteer appreciation dinner. It was pretty successful, the third one I've gone to, and we had quite a few people there, and they stuck around the entire time, so. It was a great event. We have been, working on getting the fireworks stuff going. We've been putting together a golf tournament fundraiser down at the Nines. Met with the owner last week and had a great conversation with him, so we're getting that set up right now. We're pegging to do that on May 30th down there. We are pushing to do a summer preview for the farmers market. We'll do one a month starting May through August. That's the plan. Cinco de Mayo, had a good conversation with, the previous people that have worked on the parade and the event. And we all agreed that we wanted to move forward with it. So we've already established, the DJ, about half of the vendors. We got the floats going. Got the city helping us with, getting the links for the application, so that's well underway right now. And, community mural projects. So we're working on it right now. We're talking to the property owner over at Caminos. We're looking at some potential roof issues, but we're getting a quote on that this week. And then we're looking at opportunities for the, updating the murals across the street from City Hall. So that just came up today. There's
wall
the
thing.
wooden ones, yeah, so we're looking into that right now.
Does the same property owner still on that?
Haven't gotten that far. Yeah, that one I don't know.
Have we checked our mural codes, public art?
I think they did that before they
We
did
did
that
that.
the last.
Oh, good,
Yeah, oh,
okay, that's good. Like I said, I couldn't remember if we finished the job or not. I didn't know we did.
mhm.
We dropped a few of those.
The only other thing is just I wanted to thank Public Works and their crew out there. I see you guys all the time running around. They do a great job, and city staff. Thank you guys, personally for me. I know I call and reach out to you guys often, so I appreciate your help.
Round of applause for something. Thank you very much, appreciate it.
Definitely, absolutely. Council Wilkins, anything to pass on?
Nothing.
All right. Council Wilkins.
I just have a lot of curiosity on the structure plan for City Hall, and we're gonna be getting into that. And then the annex, especially with the Mother House Day, and I'm just. I hope that this year is a lot less stressful for you, Jeremy, than it was last year, but the infrastructure challenges right out of the gate are interesting to say the least, so. I'm interested to hear kind of what your vision is for all that. So, yeah. That's all I got.
All right. Council Wilkins.
Yeah, I love this, parks report. I just pour over it each time we've gotten it. I think it's really lovely. It's so well put together. My only concern is, I'm wondering if we need to print it every time. I,
Yeah,
I,
I'm going for that.
it's a lot of color ink. Maybe we need to just bind some of them and have them in front of us, or I don't know. I adore having them. And like I say, I literally pour through it every time, but I just feel like it's an awful lot of, trees and ink and.
Well.
And Rocio's time and our government puts us together, I assume Rocio, staff time, so anyway, that's just a concern.
Well, I'll attempt my iPad thing every time I do it, for the works in here, so. Counselor, you got one?
No, I just, thank you for doing this, I think it's lovely, but I think maybe we need to. Maybe just have.
Is there another way we can save some ink and some paper?
Yeah,
Yeah.
good question.
Okay, Counselor Hartford.
Well, you hassled one of my times, because I was gonna bring this up. That's something terrible about it earlier, but But really, I was interested in how we were doing with possible guardrail, whatever, to protect the citizens over on Third Street in Death Alley there. The Death Man curve or whatever they call it, where people are creating into houses on a regular basis.
So Don reached out to the Department of Transportation and he has information that we heard back from them that he could share during his report.
Perfect.
Excellent. Yeah.
Other than that, thank you all. I just really appreciate being a member of this whole team.
Are you talking about right over here?
Yeah,
Yeah, where they passed that same house like 3 times.
yes.
It's not worth.
And for not being another household foundation.
I'm sure to hand, how you
Let
would
us
do
read
that. Don't,
Well, he caught air 25 feet before he landed.
was he drunk?
I don't know, but there was no skid marks and he went flying over that ditch. You could see.
We have.
Where we go.
He knows, I was talking about
Having
it.
working that evening, that's, the Sweeney's Homes, it's a rental. Subject was not drunk, was not intoxicated, but did have some medical issues. And, was quite confused as to where he was at, thought he was in Wilsonville. So there was a DUI investigation that was done. His speed was excessive, but that was attributed to his somewhat mental state. However, he was cited for several crimes based on his issues and his refusal to go to a medical assessment.
He
So,
was that confused and he wouldn't go?
yeah, and medical staff checked him out. I mean, obviously, we had the ambulance there, we had a fire and rescue. And he had family, he had a place on the coast that he was headed to. So there were some questions and some concerns. We ruled out the DUI portion of it. However, there was some criminal culpability based on the speed that he entered the city of Dayton at, which was probably somewhere around 85 miles an hour. Just one of my deputies that works on my team does the crash investigations, and his estimation was roughly about 80 to 85. The ditch he crossed was, 3.5 feet deep. He went, he basically, if you're coming this way on Third, just across the bridge where the apex of the turn happens at Mill Street, he crossed over, went across the ditch, and then across the driveway, the alleyway there that bisects between Mill and Alder. And then through the back fence. And then the intrusion on the house was quite extensive. It was over the rear foundation wall. He actually drove a 5-gallon propane tank underneath the house and exploded it. So there was some concern there. It was an odd night because the resident in the home was also a very defensive and refused to come out of the house when there was propane leaking. So we had our hands full.
Yeah.
Yeah, luckily, Piper has been doing it, talking about the guns. And PGE came and cut the power to the home. That is the second time the house has been hit.
Yeah.
The previous time it was definitively a DUI driver, so.
Yeah.
But we were talking with the Swedes and there may be some request, but they may even just do it in their backyard to put some Jersey barriers in. Or some of the big concrete reflection blocks. In order to prevent somebody from actually getting injured. The guy in the house was about 6.5 feet away from the wall when the truck intruded on the house. So, and it was a full-size 3,500 Duramax diesel Chevy pickup truck, so.
And he was going that fast.
Yeah, it was.
A lot of weight.
That's, yeah.
Yeah, and the inertia, that's for those mathematically, if you're traveling 50 miles an hour, that's about 75 feet per second. So, double that. So he's doing roughly 125 to 150 feet per second. So trying to even move, the average human being reaction is about 1.5 seconds. So if you see something, it's gonna take you about 1.5 seconds to process that and then actually react to it. And then your reaction time's added to that. So your 1.5 seconds to recognize it, and then you have reaction to that. That's why we always say action is faster than reaction. And in that particular instance, not being able to see the truck coming and only being 6 feet away, that could have been a pretty good disaster.
Well, if you've been on the sidewalk there when that happened.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Another vehicle, when I pulled up the position of my patrol car in the area, I just was thinking to myself, this is my 24th year here at the sheriff's office. One of my first postings was here in Dayton. And I cannot tell you how many times I've driven that stretch of road, or I've sat right there at that apex by the cemetery and ran traffic. I mean, it's been hundreds and hundreds of times, and I just thought, man, that truck coming with another vehicle, especially, we see a lot of small cars coming through town, you know, a lot of small four doors, and that would have just been absolutely.
Yeah, if another car would have been the other lane.
Catastrophic, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That would have cost.
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, it was quite an event. We were all scratching our heads, but yeah, there was legal action taken. We did try to get him to the hospital. Obviously, he refused. The medics did the best they could. But there is going to be some legal consequence, and the Vipers are gonna have to figure out what to do with what's left of the house, so. Hope that answers the question.
Yeah, thanks for the help.
Thank you. Smoke the whole
Other than that, well, thank you.
thing. Jim's up. All right, well, I don't really have anything other than I'm gonna get surgery and I don't know until they call me if it'll be the end of March or sometime in April, so. Once I have, I'll tell you for sure. Otherwise, I got nothing else to really
Do you
talk
like flowers or
chocolate.
chocolate?
That was easy.
Chocolate or not too cold on those flowers.
I don't do the oxycodone. It makes you more miserable. All right, we're gonna go into information reports and we'll start with finance.
First, I want to apologize if you see the first page, it says January 26th. I didn't update that. I apologize for that. If I may, I do have a brief review of the financial statements. This is just so you have some reference when I'm talking.
So sorry. The house shared. Yeah, just look over. For sure. Oh, here, quick,
Should have enough for everybody.
One shot.
Okay, I apologize for that.
Whatever, yeah, I know. They're one shot down there. Okay. Good deal.
I just briefly looked over the financial statements and wanted to bring a few things to everyone's attention. First, all the funds are looking pretty good. Just as a general, there are a couple that are in the negative, but I'll talk about those. The general fund is, there's 50% of the year done at the end of December, and the general fund is at 47.4 from a expenditure standpoint. So we're looking good. There's a couple things there that need to be looked at. One thing to note, the community center maintenance is way above budget. It will not go in line, but we won't have as much going into that because we're not renting it out. If you look under the parks, there's a PERS. Jeremy and I have already looked at that and said we need to look at, there might be a budgeting problem with something going in the wrong category. So PERS is something we're gonna be looking at. The fireworks celebration, basically that is paying half of last year's, and there was no budget for it. So. There's PERS again under the library. A couple of things we're gonna look at, that I think we need to look at is just some of the engineering and planning service costs they're gonna seem to be over budget on something in several categories. So I will be looking into that. Then what I did was I took revenue and expenditures for each fund and then gave a balance. And by balance, I mean the current year, if we're plus or minus for the current fiscal year. It's not the balance of the fund. And as you can see, we're got a positive balance in everything until you get to the second page. The water capital project fund, water system capital project fund. Near as I can tell, the budget plan for a deficit in that category for the end of the year. And also there's some fund transfers that were planned that haven't happened from other funds. And the same with the sewer reserve fund. There's some fund transfers that haven't happened. And then there's some grants and loans that were budgeted that haven't been received yet. And then the last one is the debt reserve fund, same thing again. There's a bunch of fund transfers and there was a planned deficit in the fund. Yes.
What grants and loans have been received yet?
Let's go to that real quick. If you go in the financial statements to page 55. Was page 55 in the packet, it's page 51 of the financial statement. Page 55 of the packet, though. You see, there's some system improvement grants and loans, 600,000 that hasn't been received. And then utility bridge DEQ loan, not as much as what was budgeted.
So to confirm these were awarded, we just haven't received them.
No, these were budgeted at the time we prepared fiscal 26 budget in the spring. And at that time, the system improvement grant loan, that was for the utility bridge. I'm sorry, the pump station. And then we had a DEQ loan, that's for the utility bridge. At the time, those projects were still ongoing. We were able to close out the fiscal year for fiscal 25, receiving all of the pump station grants we were going to receive. And we were able to close out fiscal 25, receiving almost all of the remaining utility bridge loans. So in sum, when I prepared the budget, I was counting on some of those capital costs carrying over, and some of those grants carrying over, and they didn't, because they were done for head staging.
So does that mean, this is a question of my part, does that mean that that fund was in more of a positive at the end of last fiscal year than what you thought it was gonna be? Yes, okay. Does that make
So
sense?
we have more money than we thought.
Well,
I'm-
from the last year, we had more, so that comes into how this year we're gonna have less, so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do we need to make up $800,000 somewhere?
No, I don't think it's gonna be that much. I think we also at the same time. Budgeted for more costs, but it's something we need to watch, yes.
Does anybody have any questions?
I have a couple, one more. Sure. So the fund transfers for the water system, capital project fund, and then for the debt reserve fund, this is probably a statement, I apologize. Asking off the head, which funds are those transfers coming from?
If you look at each of the funds, revenue sources.
Yeah.
It'll tell you which funds are coming from.
For the water system capital fund, that's coming from the water fund. And then the sewer reserve fund, that's coming from. And then for the debt reserve fund, those transfers are based on whatever associated debt there is, like for the water fund debt, get transferred from the water fund, sewer funds, so.
Cool, thank you.
All right. Moving on to library, I didn't see anything for library and I missed it.
It's near. On the back page.
274, that's why I missed it. Anything for library questions, thoughts? City recorder, miss.
I have a quick question with regard to the library. Is one of the things that we're gonna be discussing in your report, library strategy for where it's located with the ongoing infrastructure challenges?
That'll be a big topic for our February work session. Well,
Yes. All right, Lucio, do you have anything for before?
No, this was on the report.
All right, anybody got, I mean, if you want.
Anything additional that changed?
Does anybody have any questions?
Anybody have any questions though?
All right. Tourism and economic development, Mr. Dave.
So same kind of thing, any questions, happy to address them, pretty much summarized in the activities this month. And what we're gonna be doing in the forthcoming month. I'm involved in that. Facilitation of the city hall moving over to the annex. And at this point in time, we expect to have things moved and online by I think the 17th, 18th of February, so we'll be operational over there by that time.
Fantastic.
Good question.
Mhm.
So for the Alderman Dog Park grant, when that's submitted, was there an estimate for hearing back?
Estimate for what?
For when you should hear back?
Yes, that one comes back in September. Yeah.
Dave, could you elaborate on the closing plan?
As far as what we're gonna do with the city hall, yeah, we're going to shut down on the 12th of February. That's the day before, well, Fridays, obviously, we're closed, that's the 13th. And that's the long weekend, that's President's Day weekend, that's why we selected that time to make it. So basically, we'll be working on that Thursday, the boxing up and getting everything ready and beginning the transition. We'll immediately be moving the existing countertops that are in our existing city hall over to the annex and having those installed. And then as we move through the weekend, they will continue to work on that, installing a door that will also secure the office from visitors and so forth. And then we will be moving over with the final thing, the furniture and connecting internet and electrical up on that Tuesday, which will be closed as well. So it'll be a 5-day process, all in all. We'll certainly communicate that to everybody so they know, but that's what we expect to happen. I think we'll have sufficient amount of time. We've already sealed off the kitchen from the building. And we've already sealed off, at least started to seal off the library from the existing city hall.
Public Works report. Donna.
The only thing that's not in my report this evening is the conversation with ODOT that came in after I got my report turned in. But basically, in a nutshell, they don't think at this time a guardrail is warranted at this location.
What?
They are, they're trying to figure out scheduling, to come out and put some delineators to help highlight that corner to see if that will help. We had talked to them, Jeremy had discussed potentially adding signage or something there, and because of where the radar sign at the end of the bridge and the speed limit sign are, that's kind of an issue adding another sign right there, so that would be basically reconfiguring signage over there if it comes to that, but it's not off the table, it's something that they're still looking into and addressing. So at this point, all we kind of know is that they're willing to do some delineators and see,
And those are those colored things that you can see at the corner.
yeah. So it would kind of highlight that corner as you come in.
But we're restricted as to what we can do in terms of imposing barriers to cars flying and people.
But
This one.
on the right of way, couldn't we put some kind of something to keep people from going through and from the yards? Because all three of those houses, the one on each corner and then the middle one, they've all been hit.
Mhm.
And that one's been hit 3 times, the middle one's been hit 3 or 4 times, and the other one's been
Middle
hit.
one's now total.
Yeah, they noted that in 2021 and in 2024, there were incidences related to that corner where vehicles struck homes.
There's more than just those 2.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I have all the reports. It was more,
like, is there a way we can get them to make like a speed bump, maybe?
they won't do
They
that.
won't do that.
I would.
Yeah,
And I think the biggest issue over there is, I think right of way, and sidewalk and property line and all that, I don't know that they, and I don't know for sure, but I'm assuming that's probably where some of this issue lies, is maybe there's just potentially not enough space over there to safely place a guardrail or something.
They'd have to put those down.
I'm wondering then,
Yeah.
on the sidewalk edge that is next to the street, is there something we could put along there? That would be maybe a little deterrent?
I don't know, it would be something that we would have to work with ODOT to get approval on.
But if it's on the sidewalk side,
Yeah,
yeah, as long as it's not on the street, would we
I
send
think
it
we
get
would
a
have
lot
to
of
check and
trouble?
see right of ways and property lines and all of that,
so we
so.
maybe look into something like that, I mean. My first thing was put a bunch of big asphalters down there, but you know,
And just throw some big flat rocks or boulders there.
I don't think that might just launch people, but
Yeah, I
you need
think
something.
it's concrete.
Well, that was one
Well,
of the things that
but-
ODOT had mentioned in their email to us was. They're not certain that a guardrail would like the impact of that, they're thinking that that might actually cause something to go airborne and cause more damage. So,
Yeah, that's reasonable.
yeah, I mean, and they had their traffic team involved, they had their engineers involved, I mean, we started this 2 weeks ago, the conversation, so. They've been doing their research on their side and communicating with us, so. I don't think anything is set in stone, a hard no, I just think that everybody's trying to figure out if there is something that can be done.
well, they're facing a budget crisis right now to boot, so they're not gonna be able to supply that for them.
But yeah,
Don't you think they're incurring liability now that the issue's been definitively defined? And then if something happens and there's a fatality or something like that, I'm.
They don't care. You know how many
Until
people
there is a
have
full
died up
they won't
here at
say
this
anything.
intersection?
This may be a really horrible idea, but could we plant like hard enough trees that if they're in a big enough size, could reduce the risk of damage in some way, shape or form? I mean, something like that, 3-ton truck, it's gonna take out a tree, but
We need those cement things that they use to divide.
Yeah.
It's like cement dividers, whatever, when you're driving down 3 Mile Lane. And just line them along there. And then we can get somebody to come and paint them pretty and we'll get pretty stuff to grow from them.
Is it possible? You put in a stop sign? Like on Southeast Palmer Lane, like right in there in that intersection?
I love
Stop
that.
sign
I
there.
love
Get
that.
people to stop,
It's,
and then that short distance right before the bridge, and then coming around the corner.
isn't that considered an ODOT highway too?
I don't know.
They're not
They're not
gonna.
gonna do that.
I mean, it's a great idea, I would.
Yeah, it's a
I'd be
fabulous
fan with
idea,
that.
but
I could walk across the street without taking my life.
Oh, okay, could we do like like those crosswalk signs? And a crosswalk right there, is that possible?
no, that's still an ODOT highway, you can't do anything
We
without.
have to purchase the process, we could. you know.
So how far does that
It's
highway
not-
extend?
You have, you know about.
They won't do it though. You know how many years it took us to get it?
Okay, so even going out to 18? Because there's already a stop sign on it, so obviously they will allow stop signs.
That's not what I'm saying. They
There's a
don't,
stop sign right there.
they
Right
won't
there.
allow additional stop signs necessarily.
Yeah, we would have to go through the approval process.
You have to have traffic studies and all kinds of
And-
engineering, and if they're already short-staffed,
They're
this
not
could
gonna
be
do it. And,
5-10 years down the line.
and that intersection, how many people have died?
Yeah.
They
They put
don't
that in,
give two hoots.
in the email, they said that they're facing short-staffed and there are much higher, more pressing things that they're focusing, I guess would be the best way to put it.
Yeah.
So,
So it needs to be big house there before they don't do anything.
It doesn't mean you do anything.
The 18,233, like roundabout, like that's been something that's been needed for many years, and they're just now getting to it. And think about how many car crashes are there, so like, this is definitely not.
No, it's not. Not at all.
I know it's not much, but at least they're trying something.
Well,
Because
the
they're up
delineators,
against the
not-
same exact thing we are,
Yeah.
limited budget, limited staff, so at least we didn't just get a pound sand.
Yeah.
So,
I would like to see, find out if we can do anything on the right of way or whatever. Put a barrier or something on the sidewalk side, if that's even possible.
Be one of those fake trees that's actually like a telephone, but.
And then if we do have some sort of barrier up, we can make it a, you know, decorative, so. All right.
And then you'd be in this private property, so you'd have to get permission of it already.
I bet you most of those owners along there would say,
I would-
hey, okay.
I would have petitioned the city to provide me with two of those things, and I would just plan them.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I was thinking, if you just planted them every, you know, like here, and then you put so many feet, and then here, I don't know. You could utilize them. Make it pretty, you just need to burn them. I'm always worried.
Thanks for
about
looking into it, yeah, sure.
Yeah, thank you so much.
So involved.
I can continue the conversation with them to see,
I walk that every day, you know. and
Yeah, I mean,
that's, I
anything.
put it in the first email to them was, you know, yes, it's sad about the house, but what if it was kids walking home from school at that time?
Yeah.
This was a totally different outcome, so.
You hear a loud noise, run like that, you know,
Yeah.
I mean, kind of, that's what.
I somehow don't think they would still do it, even if it would. Haley Musgrove, remember? They didn't give two shits about her dying. Anyways, a young girl at the intersection. Very young.
Mhm.
We will move on though, city managers report.
Okay. So we had an exciting afternoon today. A portion of the ceiling at the annex fell. This is in the garage area.
Was that the sheet rock that fell, or did your roof itself?
It was a sheet rock. I have a environmental specialist who's gonna come out tomorrow just to test the materials, make sure everything's safe before we clean it up. If it is safe, then we discussed a possible way to secure, temporary way to secure that sheet rock so that it doesn't keep collapsing. Till we have a long-term plan on what we're doing with the facility. As far as that long-term plan, at the last meeting, council authorized us to move forward with a request for quotes for a facilities study. I've had a lot of interest from some very good firms on them working with us. The plan is to bring a contract to you in March, so we can start that process. And figure out long-term what is, how we're going to meet our need as a city to provide spaces for citizens and for our staff. So that is ongoing.
Was that water related, that sheet rock?
Yes.
Did it has, it's a root, right? What was this? Yes. So that was all damaged and broke down a sheet rock underneath.
All right, any other questions about that? Okay, I'll move on to Fisher Farms. Our hydrogeologist has submitted a plan review to the Oregon Health Authority. We've received some methane results. I've instructed our city engineer to proceed with preparing designs so that when we hear back from OHA on some of these questions that we need answered, if what we receive back is favorable, we can get started as soon as possible. So I'm asking him to get everything ready so that when we're ready to pull the trigger, we can get moving as fast as we can.
You mean get moving on test wells and that kind of thing?
On creating designs for some of these materials that have long lead times. So we
Have they pumped out those wells yet?
they have pumping scheduled for, when is it done? April?
Yes.
Okay.
So they've done some tests, just some preliminary pumping, so they get methane results that then he can get sharpened in his pencil.
That had the longest lead time, so we kind of needed that information up front so that we can start figuring out design for what we're actually gonna need if they get put in.
For the scrubbers.
Yeah.
We have a pre-app schedule with Yamhill County to get this moving through their land use process. Don and I had discussions with the adjoining property owners related to restrictive easements. OHA requires you at least attempt to obtain those restrictive easements. If you can't, then they could potentially grant you an exception to that. But we've at least started the conversation. I have a fully executed agreement with the Oregon Water Resources Department for a construction grant. Moving on to our water supply options and capital investment analyses. I submitted an intake form for Business Oregon for potential financing to bring a consultant on board to develop our long-term water plans. I previously was planning on applying for SIP funding, but that funding window is not going to open for February because they received a lot of applications last year. The next funding window is in the summer. I don't want to wait that long. We need to get started on this now. When I hear back from Business Oregon, I'll bring this to you at a future meeting so that you can weigh in on if you'd like to move forward with that financing opportunity. I have a tabulation of costs so far for the City Hall Annex move. I had a structural engineer visit City Hall in January. He did a visual inspection of the basement and did not identify any immediate threats. I met with our USDA representative on a $500,000 grant. They want us to spend as much as that, possibly all of that, if we can this year. Even if we have to do something that's not the entire project, we can at least do a project that can take a big chunk out of what we ultimately need. So I want you to keep that in the back of your mind. I also located a seismic retrofit analysis that could be a data point that our consultant uses. The integrator of record process is ongoing. I rescinded the administrative decision for the Dayton Hotel project. They in turn withdrew their appeal and they're going to submit an amended application. Garcia is going to have notice of that rescinded decision out mailed this week. So already out. You are quick. Staff and I had several development meetings in January. We're going to kick the budget process off tomorrow. Rob and I are working with DDA to get those Code 1 monies distributed. And then there are a bunch of other items. What questions do you have for me?
So I meant to ask it a long time ago, but it went away and came back. You were talking about closing the door off to City Hall and the library, so then there would only be one entrance in and out?
They'll still have to work.
You're gonna close off the entrance into the City Hall, right? From the library?
There's already a door there.
No, I heard him say that. And that's what I'm trying to
No,
find
we're filling a
out.
hole that is the,
There's like a pass.
it's like a pass through, you know, it's kind of like. a
Oh,
window. It's a
okay.
window hole.
I was thinking a door because there's the whole
No,
hallway, and I thought, why are we closing that off? Okay, now.
That's the way they describe it, is just like the kitchen and the pantries, same thing.
Yeah, okay, because he said door earlier, and then I started thinking about it a little bit more and went, wait, that's not safe. So that's all I got.
For the $500,000 grant, can we add that as a discussion topic to the work session?
Sure.
I'd like to table that intentionally at the work session.
Speaking of life safety issues, considering our move to this location for meetings, I do have a draft
I read.
emergency egress plan for this space, and if anybody has any comments.
You just better figure out how to get her chair out of here. And for her. You're gonna write it down, thinking that, right?
And if you go fast enough, you don't stare. You can just lean back and
Yeah.
ride it out. Again, I hear you all.
Literally. No.
It's just that, sorry.
And go, since you just flip around where you're going in the elevator, your face will.
So we got anything else?
There is gonna, that's a good first step. But there are several other things that need to be addressed. But we can take the time to do that. There's a lot going on right now.
I just had one personal for me, my own knowledge. Do we know what's going on that lot, next to the Dayton, Baptist church?
Where the orchard was cut down.
All the streets are cut. I don't know, do any of you guys know?
We haven't heard anything concrete. There was a question probably like 6 months ago about building some homes there. I mean, for the code, they are allowed, but we haven't had any applications or pre-applications regarding that property yet.
It's unclear to me if the extent of what is being done is a land use issue, but I'm gonna look into that.
Cutting down trees isn't illegal anyway. Not yet.
Not yet.
Hey Don,
Yeah.
have we had any more trouble with the bathroom over by my house
Yes.
on the right side?
Uh,
You have that locked.
Yeah, somebody destroyed both door handles. We were able to get one reprogrammed, the other one is still giving us issues, so
Do we have a camera on the building?
yeah.
Can you see somebody messing with the locks from the inside or the outside?
I honestly don't know. I just got back from vacation today, so.
Oh, so you haven't had a
Yeah,
chance? Okay.
but yeah, I know that that's on the list of things to look at this week is to try and pull the footage. And then we're also trying to get, Jason, code enforcement. We bought, after multiple times paying locksmith to come out, it was cheaper for us to buy the program cable and the program itself. So now we're able to do it ourselves, so we're just trying to get him scheduled to come out and get that taken care of for us.
Okay.
So, like I said, he got one done The second one isn't taking, so I don't know. If there's more damage that we can't see or what's going on.
And just to clarify, the lights in that bathroom don't come on unless there's motion, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So when I'm driving in the morning at 7:30 in the morning and that bathroom light's on. Somebody's in there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or somebody could, like, the crew gets here at 7.
No, you guys are always coming right about the same time. And I know if it's the crew or not, 'cause they leave their truck out.
Yeah.
And usually everybody passes me and goes,
Yeah,
and I go on my way out the
I was
door.
just saying, if you happen to miss them, if they get past your house before you leave, they are, I think they're on 10-minute timers. I think is what because originally it was a half hour, and
Okay.
we were like, no, let's knock that down so that we can actually, like, when you drive by, you can let us know, so.
Yeah,
We lowered it down, I think it's 10 minutes now, so,
okay.
Is there a motion flood light outside?
no, those are just on, like daylight sensors.
Do you think it would be a deterrent to have a motion activated floodlight on the side? Cause these are, I'm
Honestly,
assuming.
I don't think so. The last time that we had footage of people messing with the bathroom, it was
Broad daylight.
broad daylight, 3 kids, and one of them went from the corner of the building all the way up to the peak of the roof and all the way down. Just hand by hand crawling across the, so.
It's cause, never mind, shut up. I love that.
Why would you?
Cause they don't have parents.
You go inside. it's
I mean, they
great
have
to be
parents, but
inside.
they don't.
Is there something that we can use on the top of that building that will not cause permanent, but will be a deterrent?
They do spikes.
Without liability to the city, I don't.
Okay, that's the other piece of that I forgot to mention.
Yeah,
We do have. Our newsletter coming up, so anybody who's gonna be writing for the newsletter, make sure you get your things in, cause I just remembered it too, when I see you.
Oh,
It says the email, thank you. But, maybe that's something that I can address in there. And that'd be my topic then.
I have certain set of skills.
Well. I know how to write things diplomatically, but in a way that says, you better get your. So, anyways, so we'll see if it helps, but they may or may not.
You're capable, this one.
I am. Now, I am capable of diplomacy a lot better on paper than I am in person.
This is a deep cut reference, but does anybody remember the movie Dodgeball?
Yeah.
Okay, so you remember how there's the Lobo Gym guy, he had that like cardboard cutout that had like a recording camera in it. We should make one of those of the mayor and have him inside, only when locked, you have him inside facing outside, so that anytime anybody breaks in. Face to face.
Mayor just ought to get her boots on it and I can go down there a few more times than I do. But I think it's in the daytime mostly when it's happening.
yeah.
Okay.
It's been daytime, nighttime, middle of the night, early morning hours.
See those trail cameras there?
I don't believe that there's trail cameras there. I think they've been moved to other locations.
All right, well, it was 8:20, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Yeah, we are adjourned. At 8:20.